RIP USA. Brewing in the state of Wyoming sits the Yellowstone volcano, or rather, super volcano. Unlike the volcanoes you might typically imagine, this one bubbles underground over an area of 30 by 45 miles wide in Yellowstone National Park. Some more alarmist scientists will tell you the colossal volcano is overdue for an eruption, based on the fact that 3 terrifyingly huge eruptions have occurred at relatively regular intervals in history. Each emitted more than an astonishing 250 cubic miles of magma, with one eruption occurring 2.1 million years ago, another 1.2 million years ago, and the most recent being 640,000 years ago. The pattern spotters among you will be able to see why some are a little concerned we're due another, given the time since the last eruption is similar to the time period between the previous 3. However, the truth is volcanoes are very unpredictable, making it impossible to accurately predict when such an eruption will occur. But if the pressure in the underground magma chambers does build to the point of eruption, what exactly would happen to the America above ground? Well, if such an event occurred with the same ferocity as those previous 3, it's likely that enormous amounts of volcanic ash, gas, magma, and other volcanic debris would spew across most of the continental U.S., reaching as far as Louisiana. This fatal plume of hot ash and gases would blast miles high into the atmosphere, blocking sunlight and leaving a third of the continent in darkness, crippling agriculture. Pyroclastic flows, aka fast-moving rivers of lava and scalding gas, would race outwards into the 50-mile radius region around the volcano at speeds as fast as a commercial airliner, burying, burning, or shattering anything in their path. As the clouds of ash settle, they would leave parts of the U.S. in as much as 3 feet of ash. This ash would collapse roofs, contaminate water supplies, destroy power lines, and poison the lungs of survivors. In previous eruptions, it's thought that in the aftermath, the volcano collapsed into itself, pulling with it trees, mountains, anything else unlucky enough to be nearby. All that remains afterwards is a large depression in the ground known as a caldera. If all this were to happen, there's no saying which or how many U.S. landmarks would be obliterated, severely damaged, or at the very least, made to vanish under a blanket of ash. Now, before you start panic buying survival supplies, a good handful of scientists argue there's not enough fluid magma bubbling below Yellowstone to sustain an eruption comparable in scope to the previous mega eruptions. But the fact remains that, truthfully, an eruption of some kind can't be fully written off. Yellowstone could indeed be brewing a storm that might not only happen within our lifetimes, but, in the worst-case scenario, would end our lifetimes. We just have to hope that we're all gone before that happens. Oh,